Peter, first of all, what is the police's explanation for not revealing why they've reached these conclusions?
Well, I'm puzzled, as I'm sure are many, many other people, including the Mayor of London. Let's have this explanation. Why not tell people the rationale behind their decision-making? And were the Crown Prosecution Service consulted, for example, because they are the prosecuting body? What lawyers advised them, possibly? Let's know. The Met so often talk about openness and transparency, and yet here it would appear they are not practising what they preach.
In saying that, I mean, sometimes they would say, well, you know, ultimately, if we do that all the time, well, then every single kind of facet of the decision is going to be poured over questions, and you might just end up undermining the entire investigation altogether.
These are crimes committed in Downing Street. 100 or more crimes committed in Downing Street. The home and the office of the Prime Minister, the man who runs the country. It really is not too much to ask for the Met Police in this situation to explain their thinking.
And what do we think about what Sadiq Khan wants, though? I mean, there will be some saying this is a politician who's already quite heavily interfered in the disposition of one recent police commissioner, that politics and politicians, particularly opposition politicians, or politicians of any hue, I should say, though, but should stay out of operational police matters. There has to be an independence to policing.
Yes, but of course the reality is that's far from the case. If we rewind back to 2013 or so, when Boris Johnson was Mayor of London, he drummed out Sir Ian Blair, who was then the Met Police Commissioner. There is a history of politicians repeatedly interfering in policing. And the police, to some certain extent, only have themselves to blame in relation to these circumstances because, of course, they delayed announcing a whole tranche of fines for Downing Street until after the election, the recent local elections. So it could well be argued that, in fact, the police were meddling in politics themselves.
Yeah, indeed. But then the problem is, of course, they get accused both ways. If they do it during the election campaign, people say they're influence politics. What I'm trying to say is, in the end, there's no good place for the police here, is there? If they hold back this information, people criticise them for not being transparent. If they release it, they'll get criticised because people will not agree with the decisions. In the end, the police are in a no-win situation here.
The Met Police, in the guise of the last Commissioner, Cressida Dick, with regards to this whole Partygate affair, only have themselves to blame, because Cressida Dick suffered from a catastrophic lack of judgment when she said the Met were not going to investigate these allegations when they were first voiced in the media through many, many media outlets. Quite what was behind her thinking, I can only guess at, but it was a ridiculous decision. It led to Sue Gray report, of course. It then led to the Met doing a complete 180 and saying, yes, we will investigate these crimes. And I suspect that in the next day or two, journalists will be poring over the Sue Gray report and the Met Police fines to see if there's any discrepancies.
I'd see if they add up, indeed.